Good morning, this is your AI host, Jay. I'm here with the automatically generated, Journato, morning headlines on December 15, 2023. I've never seen anything like this. Japan says reason behind 1,200 tons of fish washing ashore is unknown. The Guardian, Japan denies link between mysterious mass fish deaths and Fukushima release. The Independent, never seen before, massive quantities of sardines wash up dead at West Japan port, the Mainichi. The Mainichi, thousands of tons of dead fish wash ashore in Japan, 3 months after the nation released treated Fukushima. Daily Mail, Japan sees thousands of dead fish wash up on beach and nobody knows why. Satan Club to be held in Memphis school library despite uproar from faith leaders. Sky News, outraged parents and church leaders criticize new satanic temple after school club due to start at an elementor. Daily Mail, after school Satan Club at MSCS Elementary School causes controversy. WATN, Local 24, the satanic temple to launch, after school Satan Club, at Memphis Elementary School. US does not see eye to eye with Israel over two-state solution, Israel-Hamas war. Sky News, Netanyahu's Gantz will establish a Palestinian state campaign, opinion. Haaretz, Smotrich, Biden's call for two-state solution is suicide. Middle East Monitor, anti-PA rhetoric has US convinced Netanyahu in campaign mode, Biden officials. The Times of Israel, US says no lasting peace and security in Gaza region without meeting legitimate aspirations of Palestinians. Israeli soldiers' mosque behavior condemned by IDF. BBC, IDF censures its soldiers filmed mocking call to prayer in Jenin Mosque. The Guardian, IDF suspends several troops for singing Hanukkah songs into Jenin Mosque loudspeakers. The Times of Israel, Sephardic chief rabbi decries images of Israeli soldiers disrespecting mosques, Israel News. Haaretz, Turkey condemns Israeli soldiers' provocation at mosque in West Bank. Ukraine war, how TikTok fakes pushed Russian lies to millions. French bulldog's head shape makes sleeping difficult, study finds. The Guardian, the shape of a dog's head can affect their sleep. Technology networks, flat-faced dogs get worse sleep than those with longer heads. Ukraine war, shell shortages force us to limit firing, Ukrainian troops tell BBC. BBC, surrounded and low on ammo, the elite troops out to spoil Putin's new year. The Times, Ukrainian troops unable to respond to Russian attacks, says lawmaker. ABC News, Ukraine soldier says it will be very difficult to fight Russia without US aid. Business Insider, Ukraine forced to save and to ration ammunition amid US aid impasse. Maersk denies Houthi claim container ship hit by Yemeni militia. Reuters, Iran warns US will face problems with Red Sea task force plans. Al Jazeera English, US Navy destroyer shoots down drone launched from Yemen after reports of attack on commercial ship. Sky News, Yemen's Houthis warn ships in Red Sea to avoid Israel or face attack. The Guardian, how are Houthi seizures in the vital Red Sea shipping lane impacting global trade? Guyana warns Venezuela's Maduro he risks becoming pariah ahead of talks. David Cameron says, heat and anger, gone from UK-EU relationship. The Guardian, politics latest, criminals who don't attend parole hearings should receive tougher sentences, says James Bulger's mother. Sky News, Cameron's triumphant return to the Lords shows H is back in his element. The Telegraph, Quentin Letts, Lord Dave would NT be human if his thoughts had not drifted to a Cameron versus Starmer election as. Jury begins deliberating in Rudy Giuliani defamation case. BBC, Giuliani won't testify in defamation trial over Georgia election workers. The Washington Post, Rudy Giuliani made it dangerous for Georgia election workers, attorney says in closing arguments in defamation case. CNN, the end of Rudy Giuliani. Cal Penn is fine with that. 4 arrested in Europe over alleged cross-border Hamas terrorism plot. The Guardian, Hamas plot to attack Jews across Europe is foiled by police. The Telegraph, Hamas members arrested over plans to attack Jewish sites in Europe. Sky News, Germany accuses 4 men it links to Hamas of plotting attacks on Jews. The New York Times, suspected Hamas militants arrested in Europe as alleged attack plot uncovered. ITV News. Essequibo dispute, Venezuela and Guyana agree not to use force. BBC, President of Guyana, Venezuela will not enter our sacred space. The Times, Guyana, Venezuela agree to not use force or escalate tensions in Essequibo dispute. Reuters Canada, would the US intervene to defend Guyana's oil riches? Oilprice.com, Guyana and Venezuela promise not to use force in bitter dispute over oil-rich region. Israel-Gaza latest news, Israel warns war with Hamas could take several more months. BBC, Israel-Hamas war live. Despite US pressure, Israel warns of long war, Israel-Palestine conflict news. Al Jazeera English, nothing will stop us. Netanyahu says war against Hamas will continue despite global pressure. The Telegraph, most Israelis want Hamas crushed despite Gaza casualties, UN rebuke. Reuters.com, Israel tells US it needs months to defeat Hamas. Critical text messages beamed on screen in front of Putin at year-end news conference. The Independent, Russia-Ukraine war, Putin tells Russia his war objectives are unchanged. BBC, Russia-Ukraine war, list of key events, day 660. Al Jazeera English, why Putin's awkward Q&A may not be all it seemed. The Telegraph, Putin says no peace until Russia's goals in Ukraine achieved. Failure of COP28 on fossil fuel phase-out is devastating, say scientists. The Guardian, the future is renewable, how a huge gamble sealed COP28 deal. The Guardian, COP's pledge to move away from fossil fuels is a farce. The Spectator, COP28, key outcomes agreed at the UN climate talks in Dubai. Carbon Brief, how the world agreed to move away from fossil fuels at COP28. Hungary blocks €50 billion in EU aid for Ukraine hours after membership talks were approved. The Guardian, Hungary blocks €50 billion of EU funding for Ukraine. BBC, EU gives to Ukraine with one hand and takes with the other. Financial Times, Zelensky hails victory as EU agrees to open Ukraine membership talks. Al Jazeera English, Hungary blocks €50 billion EU aid package for Ukraine. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.